Well, it's quite a rainy day outside, so I am inside the cabin sitting in my comfy chair. But I know that we need to get back to learning love. We are on number 9. And this process of going through these has been really helpful to me because it helps me know where I want to make edits. And those of you who have been participating, I'll be really, really more than happy to send you a copy of the second edition of this book once we get to the end of it, because this is the process itself is helping me. All right, number 9 is love as the motivation. To begin to learn what love is, we need to first understand that love is not necessarily an emotion. Yes, showing and receiving love produces good feelings that are often called love, but if we begin to look at the actions that show love, we can begin to wrap our minds around what love is and is not, and be able to recognize loving actions in ourselves and in others. The best place to look at the actions of love is in 1 Corinthians 13, which is often called the love chapter of the Bible. This chapter begins by telling us that love must be the motivation behind our actions. A good description of the motivation of love is wanting the best for the other person. Love is a strong motivator, but so are many other emotions: pride, arrogance, selfishness, control, judgmental attitudes. But any positive motivator, if we look hard enough, should have desiring the best for the other person at its core. Is it possible to do the right things for the wrong reasons? Absolutely. In this passage, there's a list, including speaking the language of angels, prophesying, understanding God's secret plans, having faith, sacrificial giving to the poor, or even sacrificing one's life for another. But after every good deed listed is the reminder: if I do not have love, I have gained nothing. When I did my student teaching, I had the privilege to teach drama. What a fun class. And there's a game that we would play where we take the same dialogue and change the emotion behind the words. For example, read the dialogue below normally, and then I'll suggest a few changes. So the dialogue goes like this. So teenage son: Mom, I'm home. The mom says, oh, great, Todd. There's a snack on the table, and then I want you to get started on your homework. You have a test tomorrow. Oh, thanks for reminding me. So hopefully you imagine that scene as a loving exchange between mother and son. Now read it through again, changing the emotion from love to impatience to sarcasm to anger. Okay, let's try it again. Mom, I'm home. Oh, great, Todd. There's a snack on the table, and then I want you to get started on your homework. You have a test tomorrow. Ugh. Thanks for reminding me. You can see that it isn't the words, but the emotions behind them that give them meaning. Or think of the most beautiful oration you've ever heard. For example, the love scene from Romeo and Juliet, where Romeo comes upon the sight of Juliet in the window and begins to declare how beautiful she is. You can imagine a young Romeo caught up in the emotion of young love, comparing Juliet's beauty to the rising sun. Done well, words can stir deep emotions within us. Now imagine Romeo saying the same thing, but not really meaning it, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Instead of Juliet responding with love, he more likely would have received a sharp slap across the face. Words matter. They carry meaning by themselves, but the motivation behind those words carry a deeper meaning. Are we really thinking about the best interest of the other person, or are we thinking about how we can wound them, make them feel small or unimportant? We're just reacting out of our own impatience at being disturbed. We often think we can convince others to agree with our point of view through debate. But according to Paul, if we do not speak with love, we might as well be standing there with a large pot, banging on it with a metal spoon. Jesus said there was no greater love than to lay down your life for a friend. We've seen many such acts of sacrifice in our country when the life of a loved one or even a stranger was threatened. Someone stepped in and selflessly became a barrier between danger and another person, and their life ended. That's an act of love. It is difficult to consider that a person would give up their life for any other motivation than selfless love, but verse 3 offers another motivation: pride. If I gave everything I have to the poor and even sacrificed my body, I could boast about it, but if I didn't love others, I would have gained nothing. It's almost as if you can hear the person saying, "Look how awesome I am for doing what I'm doing." Verses 1 through 3 progress from things that do not require much sacrifice to the one thing that requires the ultimate sacrifice. And yet the claim is made that even that sacrifice profits nothing if it is not done in love. You can probably think of times when someone else's actions towards you were motivated by something other than love. List a few incidents where someone's motivation was very different than their actions. For example, sarcastic comments. Very different from their words, I mean. Their words. List a few incidents where someone's motivation was very different than their actions. Okay, I might have to edit that. But I know you know what I mean. Okay, so who do we need to forgive in this scenario? God, I choose to forgive for demeaning me with their words and actions. I am not defined by the things that person did or said. And I can rest in the truth that I can be motivated by your love in my actions towards others. Okay, so let's think about, who did you think about in the first prompt? Somebody who maybe said something where their actions and their words and their emotions and everything wasn't really lining up, and you're like, that's not working. Okay, is this a person who's still in your life? So we're going to do an exercise, and the exercise is try writing a loving response to them and let them know how their words and actions have hurt you and how you are choosing to respond to that. Okay? And once you do that, it's not necessary to send the note because it is the process of expressing yourself that's important. But if you feel it's safe to communicate with that person, give it a try. If this person is still in your life and it is not safe, you may need to seek help in separating yourself from them. Remember, your safety is more important than anything else. Okay, number 9. Make sure that the motivation, the emotion behind what we're doing is love. And if we can't say that about ourselves, or if we recognize in someone else that what they're doing or saying doesn't have that they're not really concerned about my best interest, then that's our first indicator, our first thing that we can do to identify what love looks like. Do they have my best interest at heart? Do I have their best interest at heart when I do this thing or say this thing? All right, See you soon.